Good morning, Grace Church. I've got another challenge for you today, not just for the young, but for the young at heart. Something fun, because life is tough right now, isn't it? The lockdown continues, and we're all just trying to cope with everything that's happening, not just in MK or the UK, but in the world. The storm rages on. We're all just trying to stay standing. Do you know, as I was thinking about that, it reminded me of a saying. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. And that gave me an idea for a challenge. I'm going to need a wetsuit, a surfboard, some waves or some water of some sort, and a volunteer. Life can be like that, can't it? Sometimes it feels like we're in a storm. We're struggling to stand because the waves won't stop. So what do you do when you can't stop the waves? How do you learn to stand to surf? Well, I'm no expert at surfing, but I do know this. You don't focus on the waves. You keep your eyes focused on the tip of the board. You keep your eyes fixed on what is solid, on what you're standing on. And I think that's a great analogy for us to remember. When we face storms in our lives, when we can't stop the waves, let's keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. Let's stand on him and on his promises. Remember when Peter got out of the boat and began to walk towards Jesus on the lake? As soon as he looked at the waves, he began to sink. When he stared at the problem and not at Jesus, the storm dragged him down. So what did Peter do? He called out, "Lord, save me." And we're told immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. Jesus pulled Peter up out of the water. Jesus does the same for us too. And he says, "I'm right here. I've been here the whole time. Look at me. I'll pull you out." And he promises to hold us up through every storm. Why don't we just take a moment to recognise the waves, the problems that we're each facing right now? Do you know, this last week, I focused very much more on my problems than I did on Jesus. And I felt at times like I was really sinking. But I was reminded not to look at the problem, but to look at Jesus instead and to call out, "Lord, save me." 2 Corinthians in chapter 4 tells us in verse 9, "In times of trouble, God is with us. And when we are knocked down, we get up again." Such encouraging words. And it's true. So as we go into this next week, let's keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. Let's stand on his promises.